You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing, folks? Hope everybody had a wonderful time. The game was good. The game was tough. Indiana Fever lose to the actual Atlanta Dream. Got shocked by the Dream, actually, and let's take it right to it. Stephanie White. A lot of things happened in that game last night. National presence, national media. All eyes, as I shared to you before the season, going to be on Stephanie White. Now, with Stephanie White, there's some things that have come up that you just have to address. Now, with Stephanie White, she did her post-game press conference. She really gave a team meeting in the post-game press conference. She says, look, we don't play together per defense. We're all over the place. We don't play together on offense. We don't come out here and give a full effort. We don't come out here and recognize what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, she just chewed the team out. Stephanie White not happy with the Indiana Fever performance last night. But when you look at that and I look at it collectively, and I have to say, well, wait a minute. Okay, Stephanie White is going to go through this. They're going against Carl Smesko. So the whole pendulum wasn't really about the players as much as deflection, because Carl Smesko, the head coach of the Atlanta Dream, kind of spoke. We wanted to come in here and play hard, right? We lost the ball game the other night, felt we could have won. We want to play hard each and every night. Now, Stephanie White pushed it away that we're not together as a team. And that one there kind of surprised me, right? Because there were other areas of the game that Stephanie White's going to have to make a decision on, and they get to play the Atlanta Dream again. I mean, this is like back-to-back. So what's going to change? Because when you went in there and you brought this in and you brought in Bonner, right, and Bonner just didn't get the job done. I mean, a minus 19. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know who, what, when, where, or why. I do know this, the emotion was out of the field house, and I'll talk about this more. The Fever field house, here's the thing that's got to happen for the Indiana Fever, and I like Caitlin Clark a lot. I mean, I like the Indiana Fever when they play good basketball, but Indiana Fever fans are supposed to be the sixth man, right? And Money Mike's going to lay it on out. I'm not going to put it all on Stephanie White because this is a collective effort that I can view from a media standpoint with the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever Fieldhouse fans are the sixth man. In the Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers, we never want to go play up in the Seattle because of the fans, the 12th man. Well, last night, the sixth man was like a Laker fan. Showing up halftime, there's nobody in the seats, the game start, the team's flat, everybody's flat out there, and Stephanie White's trying to coach through it. Now, here's where the challenge comes in, and you guys know me well enough that I'm just going to put it out. I'm going to be objective, right? Well, when you get to there and you got Bynum there and you're hammering your team, but the bottom line is the Indiana Fever lost the game because they couldn't make the free throws, folks. And when you lose a game, the coach, sometimes you could beat these guys, but you have to understand with this Indiana Fever team, I get it. It's going to take some time, plus you're going to need a lot of WD-40, right? When you get these vets, they're not going to respond quickly, okay, and get it turned around quickly after giving this effort. They may even start out slow tomorrow, but you got to give these guys some time because they're not getting it done, but Bonner just checked out, right? So that was a worthless effort. Lexi Hull, Stephanie White has another decision, right? Because you got to look at should Lexi Hull be a starter. Money Mike's going to tell you Lexi Hull should be a starter. Lexi Hull earned the right to be a starter. Lexi Hull is playing starting basketball. And the way I look at it is the way I look at it, and I'm going to be real. Lexi Hull is kind of like the engine to the Indiana Fever. Gets Caitlin going, gets Kelsey Mitchell going, and Lexi Hull is playing 94 feet of defense. Lexi Hull does not belong off the bench, right? So Stephanie White has that decision because it doesn't matter if Cunningham comes back or not. Lexi Hull should be a starter, right? So from a coaching grade, right, they're floating around. They're saying, well, Stephanie White was average, right? Well, I think Stephanie White's better than average. But this thing here, here's the deal, folks. And I'm being objective, and I'm letting you know. Sometimes coaches are so good the ego can get in the way. And that's going to be a caution zone because here's where the ego gets away. Caitlin Clark is a franchise player. Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. Caitlin Clark is the best basketball player that we have seen out of Iowa, the Midwest, in a long time that electrifies the crowd. Why do we have Caitlin Clark taking the ball out of bounds? She's a franchise player. Everybody who paid admission for that ticket came to see Caitlin take the last shot. Stephanie White has to understand that's Caitlin's job. And if Stephanie White does her job as a coach and doesn't want to take the heat, because the last play of the game should have been to Caitlin Clark. That's what we do at the pros, and that's why the fans pay to see the players. Now, here's the special thing. To have the MVP of the league, which Caitlin Clark very well could be, it may be a close race. I'm calling it. I like Caitlin. I say Caitlin wins unanimous. You cannot take the MVP out of the game for a defense offensive possession. It costs you. Free throw gets missed, you lose 8, 9, 10 seconds, and now everything can't go the way you want. Secondarily, and folks, bear with me because I want to be fair and objective here, you do not want to put this game in a position to where you're not allowing Caitlin to be Caitlin. That's going to cost you. That's going to cost you. And I know everybody's going to go along. They're going to question, but Caitlin Clark takes the last second shots of the game, period. That's not even a question mark. Caitlin Clark should not come out of the game. Folks, some of you are not old enough, but some of you are old enough that have watched me will know. Havlicek steals the ball, right? Johnson DJ steals the ball. Boston won a couple championships with a player like Caitlin Clark being there at the end of the game because you don't know what steals she's going to get. And if she brought you back from being down 15 points, at least give her the courtesy to fail. I always tell you this about coaching. You can get ahead of yourself. I've seen a lot of coaches do it. But you can't make the decision before Caitlin's failed, lose a game, with Caitlin not being able to play defense at the end of the game, and then you can take Caitlin out. It's justified. Right now, you're justifying your ego, and that's not good because here's the thing. You got Natasha Howard, right? Natasha Howard is struggling, right? Comes out, makes a statement, I want to be the MVP. Well, you're not being the MVP. You missed 9 straight free throws. Free throws at the end of Indiana Fever need, right? And you got to look at this, and you got the big 3, which took care of business, and it's really a big 4 because the bond is with Lexi Hull, right? So and I want Stephanie White to understand that and start running sets for that, right? But the field house has to be the 6th man, and you cannot show up late. You come out there electrifying. If they don't have the 6th man of the Fieldhouse fans, you're flatter than day old beer. And that's not what the Indiana Fever are. Stephanie White is going to have to make some decisions because at the end of the day, going away from Caitlin Clark, when Caitlin Clark is there to win you ball games, and granted, Caitlin played exceptionally well. The officials will never get it right. They'll never get it right. And you know what? They realize, the officials, they'll never get it right. Why? Because the officials sit back and allow players and coaches to curse them out all day long. I mean, it's an embarrassing moment, but they're afraid to do anything. The point I'm making here is Stephanie White's got to let this team build itself. This is the type of team that doesn't really need a coach. This team needs a leader and needs somebody that's going to be right there with them, encouraging them. Now, getting on them when you get on them about offense and defense, when you lose the game because you didn't make your free throws, right? That's why you lost the game. If you're going to go there and say, well, we lost the game because we didn't play well together, well, and it's not the actual case, then it's going to be hard. This combustion can be tough. I believe that the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White, they're going to have to find a way. I think Stephanie White will, but here's the challenge. You're on national TV, so everything you do is questioned. And you got to know that. You got to understand that. And when you got an inbounds play that they can't get it in, you got to call timeout, folks. That's veteran experience. And that's what Coach Carl did. Out-coached her. Coach Carl got an A. Stephanie White got a C. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We thank you for tuning in. We're enjoying each and every day, and we promise you we're going to get better and better and better because the WNBA is fantastic. The game is good. I'm loving it. I think the Eastern Conference is just on fire, but the Indiana Fever took a shocking loss at home. Stephanie White, a lot of criticism coming down on what should have and shouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, you got to let this is a team of veterans. And when you get this veterans presence, you got to let them play the way they're going to play. They'll figure it out. That's what they do. All things are possible to those who believe. And we thank you for tuning in to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast.